Good evening, everyone. My name is Sandra Esena-Mafeno, and this is Business Live. Coming up this evening, Ghanaian flagged vessel with 6 crew members attacked off Benin coast. We'll tell you what we know so far. Also coming up, Environmental Minister gives 4 steel manufacturing firms another 1 week to rectify air pollution at Free Zones Enclave. And later in the bulletin, government signs pre-financing deal for railway sector development. Welcome back to Business Live. My name is Sandra Esena-Mafeno, occurring from home. Our first story tonight, Managing Director of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Thomas Kofi Alonso, is asking for public support to enhance the work of seafarers who risk their lives on the marine waters. He says the coronavirus outbreak has placed much pressure on their operations, hence the need for support. He was speaking at a media event to celebrate this year's World Seafarers Day in Accra.
World Seafarers Day is celebrated every 25th June by United States member countries to appreciate the contribution of seafarers in their country's GDP. This year's event is under the theme, Seafarers are key workers, essential to shipping, essential to the world. Managing Director of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Thomas Kofi Alonso, said seafarers must be given the necessary support and recognition for their hard work.
Under normal circumstances, the Day of the Seafarer campaign is organized to demonstrate how much seafarers matter to us. On those special days, social events and activities are organized to honor the enormous sacrifices they make for our comfort. With the unprecedented situation of the current global pandemic, this year, the Day of the Seafarer campaign calls for the recognition of seafarers as key workers within the context of the coronavirus pandemic. It also advocates for seafarers the provision of support and to ensure that seafarers are given the recognition they deserve for keeping the world moving in these trying times.
He underscored the need for recognition for their selfless dedication towards economic growth, especially in the wake of the global pandemic.
In these challenging times, seafarers have been the unsung heroes of this pandemic as the world relies on them to transport about 80% of trade by volume, including vital food and medical goods, energy and raw materials, as well as manufactured goods across the globe. As they continue in this heroic profession, they have become collateral victims of the crisis, as travel restrictions have left tens of thousands of them stranded on ships or unable to join ships.
The Day of the Seafarer campaign is focused on paying tribute to seafarers during this COVID-19 era.
In more news this evening, we are picking up information that pirates have attacked a fishing vessel and seized 6 crew members, among them 1 Ghanaian. The vessel was attacked off the coast of Benin, according to news sources. The report added that these pirates kidnapped 5 South Koreans and a Ghanaian after boarding their fishing vessel of the coast of Benin. We have been trying to get some clarity from the Maritime Authority, but they say they are unable to confirm or deny the report so far. Officials added that they have received reports of the attack, but are yet to get any crew member for confirmation. So what do we know so far? This is what we know. A Ghanaian among a crew of 6 being held by pirates. The vessel was attacked off the coast of Benin. Ghanaian flagged vessel is called the Panofi Frontier and has a crew of 30 on board. And then also we know so far that the Ghana Port authorities are unable to make contact with the vessel so far. And Just a little bit of background, there have been at least 10 pirate attacks off Ghana's coast between 2015 and 2019, according to the International Bureau of Piracy and Armed Robbery Against Ships. That's the information we have so far. So we know that a Ghanaian is actually among the crew members that have been hijacked at sea off the coast of Benin. Moving on, private consortium made of Thebo DB and Transtech Limited has signed a deal with a Ghana Railway Development Authority to pre-finance part of the Western Railway line from Obuasi to Huni Valley. The project is expected to be one of the basis of build, operate, and transfer after conditions are met.
Government is tasking the partners to work on a feasibility report within 4 months, after which all modalities for the 183-kilometer line will be finalized for construction to begin. The project forms part of government policy to ensure that most of the dilapidated railway lines in the country are rehabilitated. Minister for Railway Development, JoyNews, explains.
There's a gap in between Huni Valley and Obuasi. And between Huni Valley and Obuasi, you also have Dunko. And there's a branch line from Dunko to Awasu. Now, this consortium have proposed to us that they can develop that section, which is 183 kilometers, with their own money, and then enter into some kind of concession with us for a term where they will use to recoup their money and then hand it to government. We have given them 4 months. They've sent us proposals. They've written a lot of nice letters to us and sent us some basic proposals, but we've reached a stage where we want to concretize what we've been doing. So we signed this MOU with them and given them 4 months within which to come out with detailed proposals so that we can negotiate into detail with them. So that's the purpose of today's meeting. If what we are doing is successful, then it will mean that we have finished the construction of the Western Line.
Apart from working on the Obuasi-Huni Valley stretch, the partners have also committed to helping government improve the entire railway network in the country. Here is country representative for the consortium, Kwabena Mantiao.
Bring financing to build, operate, and after agreed concessions, after the concession period, transfer to governments. We are serious in what we do. We want to be partners with government to develop the entire network, but we're going to start with this section of the railway. I can assure Minister that we are not here to play games. We are here to do business with government and to do a very good job that everybody will be happy with.
The Africa Exim Bank is expected to arrange financing towards the implementation of the project.
It's been 2 years since two steel factories at the Free Zones Enclave in Tema, Reda Steel and United Steel, received series of warning from the Environmental Protecting Agency, that is the EPA, against phantom air pollution. There have been various checks by Job Business showing these factories are not complying. Well, the Environmental Minister paid an unannounced visit to these factories, threatening to shut down if they do not comply in a week's time. Charles Aite has been following the story for us and has more in the following report.
Joy Business has extensively covered how these factories pollute the environment and share abandon despite regulations from the Environmental Protection Agency. Paying a welcome visit to the Free Zones Enclave, Professor Kwabena Frimpong directed the various companies to work with the Environmental Protection Agency to rectify the anomaly, given a week's notice.
Issues with pollution. When you come to the factory, the external system is not working. There's a lot of fine dust in there that has coated the face of most of the workers. So we need to do some work here. And I think EPA will have to come and sit down with them and make sure that they do the right thing and that people who work here are not polluted, they don't get sick, because they are all liable to serious lung infections and so on. So that's where we are. I think the HR manager will take care of what you are saying. And we are not joking with it. The EPA will come here, sit down with you, and if people are not supposed to stay here during the night, because if it's not allowed, it's not allowed.
The visit is to familiarize himself with the operations of the various steel factories and to check on their level of compliance with air quality standards and other environmentally related issues.
We installed, they did it and they checked. That time it was working. Now since every time the scrap changes, the system airflow changed, so things change over a period of time. So they have been telling us to do a new one, which we have already told them what we are doing the new one. That's going on. Plus, EPA has been, we have been monitoring and submitting reports. Every month we have a monitoring done. Today itself, they are doing the smoke and environmental monitoring. 6 or 7 machines are already fitted somewhere.
The various companies have been given a week to present a work plan and roadmap towards rectifying existing defects in their air quality systems.
Consolidated Bank Ghana has donated medical equipment acquired from the 1 million cedi COVID-19 support fund to the Ministry of Health. The donation is part of the bank's commitment towards assisting the fight against the global pandemic.
According to the Consolidated Bank Ghana, supporting institutions to fight the outbreak is part of its corporate social responsibility. Currently, the country's case count has reached over 15,000, with more cases expected. Here is Managing Director of the bank, Daniel Ado.
Well aware the COVID-19 pandemic has been wreaking havoc across the globe and in this country too. When it all started, we as a bank committed to spending up to 1 million Ghana cedis to assist in the fight against the pandemic. And so that's why we're here today. It's a fulfillment of the promise we made back then. And so we're donating some ICU monitoring units and some corporate Veronica buckets to the Ministry of Health so that that can be used in the fight as part of the tools and equipment we have in the fight against the pandemic.
Mr. Ado has been also explaining some of the support the bank has given to other institutions besides that of the Ministry of Health.
This is part of that 1 million we promised. We've already in the past made some donations to the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research and the COVID-19 National Trust Fund. We've also, during the lockdown, fed some of the communities in Accra and Kumasi. It's all part of the grant scheme to contribute to the fight against the pandemic. And for us, it's a manifestation of a strong social responsibility agenda that we have as a bank.
Items donated include ICU equipment, modernized hand washing equipment, among others.
If it's just joined us, this is Business Live. We have more stories after the break. Welcome back to the program. Ghana's ports of entry have been closed to passenger traffic since the last week of March. Not only has this affected movements of persons, but businesses at large. But unconfirmed reports say the borders will be opened soon, and soon I mean in the coming days. Are we ready to travel? And what does this mean for businesses and also for revenue mobilization? I have been joined via Zoom by Aboagye-Wiafe, the coordinator of CATS International. Good evening, sir, and thanks so much for your time.
Good evening, Sandra, and happy afternoon to all your viewers.
Great. Sounds like a good news. The borders will be opened. We can't confirm yet. These are just reports we're picking on the ground. Is that a good thing? Does that sound good to you? Are we ready to open the borders?
I think at the regional level, ECOWAS is leading an interministerial effort to get all borders open in a phased approach. So starting from 1st of July, they want all borders to be open for goods. And then on the 7th of July, is also countries should start resume domestic airlines. And then by the 31st of July, they expect movement of goods and passengers across all borders. However, there's a caveat. ECOWAS wants member countries to ensure that the opening of the borders that do not result in the surge in the crisis. So if, let's say, between Aflao and Lomé, there's a high incidence of the virus, they want countries to take measures to prevent the surge of the virus. So there's a lot of measures but I think that it's very good to see the borders open to enhance trade, because there are some goods that we in Ghana will need from Nigeria and other goods that Nigeria also needs from Ghana. So opening the borders will allow international trade to flow, and people will be able to sell, and economic activities will come back to the pre-crisis level.
Looking at the issues that we have and then the surge in cases, COVID-19 cases in Ghana, do you think where we are as a country, we are ready to reopen our borders?
I think whether or not at a point in time we would have to open the borders by ensuring that we have protocols to go about. Currently, the cases have surged up and keep on surging, and the president has not ordered the mass lockdown of the country. And so we should be able to go about our normal activities by ensuring that everybody complies with the social distancing, the hygiene, and all the other protocols. So I think we can allow the borders to be open and ensure that people who are coming in go through the required safety checks. And possibly we can start with some special corridors. Not all the. Let's say Ghana and Togo, we can only decide to allow only one pathway to be open, so that they can monitor everybody coming in, because we cannot remain closed forever. Certainly not.
Reopening the borders, Mr. Apiakusi-Adomako, what will it mean for businesses? Prior to even the lockdown, we've had issue at the Ghana-Togo border where they were preventing goods from entering the country. And so businesses were locked prior to even the outbreak of COVID-19 in this part of our world. And so if we and ECOWAS calling for reopening now, what would this mean for businesses and revenue generation across our borders?
I think we are all aware that late last year we had a problem with Nigeria closing its borders on the east wing to countries here. But then along the line, the Nigerian government kind of softened its approach to allow goods from Ghana to go through. Opening the borders will mean that goods, especially food trading, will be able to move across the ECOWAS region. And then excess of products that we don't need them in Ghana can go to other markets, such that farmers will not have post-harvest losses. And mind you, food trade across West Africa is the largest source of cross-border trading. So when we do that, for example, when you go to a market, the woman will tell you that the tomato is coming from Burkina Faso. Why? Because we have a demand for Burkina tomatoes. So it's good we open it so that farmers and businesses can keep their businesses on the wheel. But we must also ensure that we don't put aside health and safety measures that are required to keep people in a good health.
Let's move to the aviation sector. Traveling by air, a lot of safety protocols have been introduced. You mentioned earlier that ECOWAS was proposing that domestic airlines should open. We have already begun operations in the domestic markets as far as airlines are concerned. We've seen a lot of safety protocols. Where you sit, do you think that it's really helped and will boost the confidence of a lot of people to be okay to travel by air, for instance, with these protocols in place?
Yes, the protocols that we have is good. And I think we go to most countries, they have started opening up their airways to allow for travels to come in. Like I said, you can't shut your borders forever. At a point in time, you will need to allow people to move. So these are measures that various governments have put in place. But in the UK, for example, what they do is that every fortnight they review all the measures and see that if there's any other gap, then they can strengthen it up. So I think we can open the borders for international travel. But for international travel, you have to go through a quarantine. And for quarantine, keeping somebody 14 days in a hotel, that charges on average of $100 a day for 14 days will mean a lot to people who are traveling. So what most countries are trying to do is that maybe if you are coming from London, for example, there's an arrangement between government of Ghana and the British aviation whereby possibly just 5 days before, a week before your trip, for example, you can go through, go for a lot of testing, and then so that when you come back to Ghana, you don't have to go through that mandatory quarantine at your own expense. But here, you can be allowed to self-isolate. I think we should rather encourage self-isolation than mandatory quarantine at the cost of travelers. If you do that, seriously, it's going to make international travel very, very expensive.
Right. Finally and quickly, you've seen what's happened with the reopening of political activities, and we saw what happened. Yes, we have the safety protocols in place, but again, it was violated. And so if you're calling for the borders to be open, yes, we have the protocols in place. What will you want to see differently done from what is being done as far as adherence to these protocols are concerned?
I think the EI from the president is very clear on those who violate these measures, that you can be, and I've seen people going to jail for disobeying the executive orders of the president on this. But we saw that over the weekend, a lot of people who went into the political primaries did not abide by the social distancing measures. We are still expecting what the president will do to those who were caught on camera to have flouted the rules. But by and large, it is your own health. If you are going to put your own health at your life is it's your own hands. So if you want to go around and I think that when you die, you not die with the president, you die alone. So
all right, I think points well made. Points well made, Mr. Aboagye-Wiafe, who is a coordinator of CAS International, and that's our program for tonight. My name is Sandra Esinam. I can log on to myjoyonline.com/business for more business news updates. I'm back at 7 p.m. on JoyNews Prime with more business news updates. Thanks so much for watching.